Very good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato taking your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. The dangerous heat wave turned two outdoor high school graduation ceremonies in Patterson into medical emergencies, with over 150 people treated and 16 had to be hospitalized. At Hinchcliffe Stadium, temperatures soared to the upper 90s with a heat index of 107 degrees. Despite cooling stations and water, some ceremonies had to be canceled. Patterson Public Schools rescheduled those graduations for Thursday as the city declared a state of emergency and opened cooling centers to combat the scorching heat. And emergency lane closures are in effect on I-287 southbound in Morris County at Riverdale and Montville due to concrete buckling from bridge joint expansion. Check this out. Drivers say the road looked like it was melting. In Riverdale, a right lane was closed. In Montville, the left and center lanes were shut down with traffic using the shoulder. NJDOT crews reopened the right lane in Montville about 4:30 yesterday afternoon after making temporary repairs. Ongoing work will likely cause delays once again today. 7:01. So the heat wave was certainly continuing as of the time I opened my eyes and looked outside. I'm sure it's still there right now, although I was hoping it would go away. We have an extreme heat warning in effect. It'll be sunny to partly cloudy today, near record-breaking highs once again in the mid-90s. We had to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a first check of the scorching Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you, Ken. Not only did we break records yesterday, we shattered them and also tied the record for the hottest June day on record in Newark. 103 was the high yesterday over in Essex County. So very hot weather again with the extreme heat warning lasting through 8 o'clock for all of the areas shaded in pink. The heat advisory for feels like temperatures of 95 to 104. And that's for northeastern New Jersey. There's a few showers that come through this afternoon into this evening that will help cool us down into the overnight and break our heat wave finally. It is already 88 degrees at 7 a.m. this morning in Newark, starting off very warm for you in Camden, even down on LBI, 84 to start the day. We're just about where we were yesterday in terms of temperatures, maybe 2 degrees warmer in Hackensack. So it's still building that heat. And with the humidity around, when those dew points are in the 70s, that is downright tropical. And it will feel humid throughout this afternoon. So an air quality watch for all of the counties shaded in gold. Here you see that going up from Patterson and Bergen County right down through portions of Passaic and even through the shore points with poor air quality again today. The air hasn't been moving. It's just stagnant. And that only compounds the problems for pollution even into the afternoon. At 7:03, we have a 91 degree feels like temperature. That's our heat index for you in LBI and in Newark. Feeling like 100 to 101 again around 2 and 3 o'clock. And then when the storms pass through, look what happens by 8 o'clock tonight. We drop significantly, about 20 or 25 degrees into this evening as those storms do a great job of cooling us down. Not so much in southern New Jersey. You still have another day of that extreme heat there in Medford tomorrow afternoon, feeling like 100. Your storms arrive later in the day tomorrow evening. Finally, by Friday and Saturday, it'll be in the 60s. That's a significant drop. That'll make it feel cooler and rainier as those storms push on through. So looking at the futurecast, you see mostly warm conditions this morning. Temperatures skyrocket again into the upper 90s and low 100s as the afternoon high. There's 101 in Camden. But you also see some of these thunderstorms develop by 2 and 3 o'clock. Those begin to move through, helping to drop the temperatures at times. And even this evening, you'll see that number fall quickly as those storms ride on through. Not expected to be severe, but there could be some isolated downpours with some gusts of wind. Even tomorrow, the rain continues, and that will keep our temperatures in the upper 60s and low 70s. So a dramatic change just 24 hours away, feeling much cooler throughout Thursday afternoon, especially for Friday and Saturday. Notice how our highs really don't even rebound into the 80s until we get to this weekend. You see that here with the futurecast going into the weekend. We'll start off in the 60s on Saturday morning and then slowly work our way back into the 70s and potentially low 80s with some more clouds then sun, I think, to start off the weekend, but Sunday looks much brighter and drier. So the next few days, seeing our heat wave end, and we get a touch of normalcy around here with 71 well below average. That's about 15 degrees below average for Friday. So much cooler weather on the way, Ken. We are on the heels of enjoying a more pleasant feel as soon as we get into the next few days.
Looking forward to pleasant. Thank you very much, Mike. 76 degrees in rural New Jersey right now. It's 77 in Trenton, and it's over 80 in Newark at 7:05. There's a growing concern for millions of Americans, the rise of online scams and data breaches. According to a recent survey by Google and Morning Consult, over 60% of U.S. consumers have noticed an uptick in scams over the past year, with many falling victim to data breaches themselves. From text messages to emails, scammers are finding new ways to target people, but confidence in spotting these threats is also on the rise. Joining us now is Evan Kotsovinos, who is Google's Vice President of Privacy, Safety, and Security, to shed light on these trends and what's being done to keep users safe. Welcome to you, Evan.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
You bet. Well, Google's latest survey with Morning Consult shows over 60% of consumers seeing more scams and a third have experienced a data breach. What trends is Google observing right now? What's top of mind for people when it comes to online safety today?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing that. If you look at on Google search, if you look at the interest in internet fraud, it's at its highest that it's been in over 12 years. As you mentioned, we're seeing a majority of US consumers feeling like there's been an increase in scams over the past year, with 1/3 personally experiencing a data breach. And these scams come in all shapes and sizes. There are lots of text message scams, email scams. They're very common, but they also come through phone calls and ads. And they can ask you to pay a fake toll fee or to have a fake package delivered, or they can even be of romantic nature, all kinds of things. But the silver lining is that as people are getting more exposure to scams, they're also getting better at spotting them. 80% of consumers say that they can flag scams when they see requests for personal information or suspicious links or urgent requests.
The sad thing is you have some people, and I don't mean to spotlight very old and very young, but just I know from my own family, they tend to be the ones who fall victim to this more often than not. I've had many a call from the 86-year-old mother saying, I got this text saying I owe this money and I have to pay immediately, and it panics them. Now, fortunately, I told my mother, never, never, never click, never, never click, call me. But it seems to happen a lot with, especially if you don't have someone to call. And I know that the survey also highlights that text messages and emails are now the most common ways that people encounter scams. Can you share more about what Google has learned from the study and how these scams are now evolving?
Yeah, look, I think first of all, you're exactly right. They prey on the vulnerable. And what we advise people to do is a couple of things. First of all, passwords are hard to remember, they're easy to break, and they're often leaked through data breaches. So you want to try and avoid using passwords where possible. Use login methods like passkeys, which are easier to use and more secure than passwords. And you simply use your fingerprint or your face scan or the PIN that you use to unlock your phone instead of a password. The way that works is when you go to a website, sometimes you get a pop-up that says, would you like to use a passkey? Click yes on that and use passkeys where you can. Also use sign in with Google where you can. It's way more secure than passwords. Where people must use passwords, we advise using a password manager. The Google Password Manager, for example, is great. It'll create unique passwords for your mom and for you and for everybody else that are hard to crack, and securely stores them so you don't need to remember them. Two-step verification is like another great solution where you get a text message to your phone that you have to use to log in, and it's way more secure than just a password. And just generally, as you said, Ken, be careful with emails from people that you don't know. Always watch out for red flags like urgent requests asking you to share personal information, bank account details, credit card numbers, and so on. Anything that looks off in terms of grammar or language or design, any inconsistencies. Are they saying they're from California, but the number is international? Stuff like that. And of course, avoid clicking on links. If you get a message from your bank that looks like it's from your bank, rather than click on the link, just go to your bank's website. Use Google search, go to your bank's website and navigate from there. And for more information on all this, please go to safety.google. We've pulled all this together in a helpful source of information that can help everybody, the young and the old, the vulnerable and the more astute. It's a great source for folks to get up to speed on all this.
Yeah, you've done all the work for us already, so you might as well take advantage of it. And also in this world of AI now, AI is transforming so many areas, but it's also being used, unfortunately, by scammers to create even more sophisticated attacks. So how is AI impacting the scam landscape, and what steps is Google taking now to leverage AI to protect users from the threats?
It clearly presents opportunities for scammers. We're seeing the use of AI for research and also to draft more convincing phishing emails or messages. That's where you get a message that's pretending to be from a reputable source like your bank, but it's actually a scammer. So those are becoming more sophisticated, and also deep fakes. But just like it presents opportunities for scammers, it also presents opportunities for the good guys. And we're using AI for good. In Gmail, for example, we use AI to block more than 99.9% actually, of spam and phishing and malware from reaching you. In Android, we have AI-powered scam detection, which scans your text messages or your Google messages as they come through and warns you in real time if what you're getting looks scammy. In Chrome, we have enhanced protection mode, which you should turn on, by the way. It's another good practice for folks, which uses AI to actively scan websites for signs of scam, and it protects you before you get there. In search, we use AI to do something similar, to scan websites, and we prevent those websites from showing up in your search results if they look scammy. And finally, in ads, we use AI to block bad and scammy ads. So, and these are just a few of the many, many ways in which we use AI to keep you safe. So I'm very optimistic that on balance, over time, AI will be a force for good and a force for safety. But you're absolutely right. There are opportunities for scammers there.
And you had me at, let's go back if we could. What Google feature will monitor your texts so that it notices patterns of scam? That's fascinating. What is that? I want to download that right now.
It's called AI-powered scam detection on Google Messages. Unfortunately, we can only do this on Android, where we control the platform, but it's a super helpful feature.
I love that. That's brilliant. So in real time, the AI looks for patterns and features, things that spammy or fake attackers might use, and that's what it'll warn you about. That's just brilliant.
Exactly.
Cut them off at the pass. If you were to talk to somebody who is brand new to computing right now, and you were to give them advice, what advice would you tell them to stay absolutely safe?
I would say use those tools that we've developed for you. Use passkeys. Use sign in with Google. Avoid passwords where you can. If you must use passwords, use those password managers. Use two-step verification. And then just those common sense practices, Ken, that we talked about before. Don't click on things that you don't know. Rather than clicking on a link, just navigate through search to the site you're trying to get to. Be very suspicious of anything that's urgent, anything that's from a source you don't know, and look for inconsistencies. Look for kind of weird red flags. And there's no such thing as absolutely safe, to be perfectly honest with you. But it's about reducing the risk. It's about reducing your exposure and being as safe as we can. And we're doing everything we can. We're investing heavily. We have thousands of people working on keeping you and everybody else safe. We're doing everything in our power to keep you safe. We need you guys to do the same.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and taking the time today. Evan Cotsavinos, Google's Vice President of Privacy, Safety, and Security. Thank you for joining us. I wish you and others like you at the corporation would come on more often to all the TV stations and let us know directly from the horse's mouth, as they say, because to hear it directly from you, I think instills more confidence than just some generic person in the tech field. So I can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming on today, Evan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to talk to you and everybody else.
You bet. Have a wonderful day.
Take care.
It is 75 degrees right now, 7:14. When we come back, New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will have the latest on New Jersey's political scene with the Inside Edge. And our heat wave certainly continues. We have an extreme heat warning in effect. It'll be sunny to partly cloudy, near record-breaking highs in the mid-90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with a full Garden State forecast, taking your calls too at 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings for your Wednesday. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:15, taking your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234, as we're all dealing with the hot weather. Governor Murphy's urging people to conserve energy. Here's what the governor's recommending. He's saying to set your air conditioning to 76 to 78 degrees. Now, it sounds like that doesn't do much cooling, but if you go outside in the 95 plus degree heat and then come in, 76 will feel great. And I think, Pam, there we go. I was going to say we have the full screen. Keep the blinds closed. Silly little thing. I know I have family members that love to, first thing in the morning, I know it looks nice to bring the blinds up. Keep them closed on a day like this because you have radiational heating. Even just the brightness outside will heat inside. So if you keep that reflecting out, you'll keep the heat out. Unplug electronics that are not in use. We had somebody on the other day that pointed this out. If you have something like a charger, even if you don't have your phone charging on it, do you know that it's using electricity just being plugged in? So anything you have plugged in the wall that you're not using, unplug. That will save electricity. Delay running heat producing appliances until after 8 o'clock at night when electric use is less. And then make a plan for power outages just in case. I've invested in lithium backup generators. You can get them for a few $100s today. Years ago, they were thousands. They come up to 5,000 watts. You can get a small one for 500 or 1,000 watts. It's not a lot, but it'll charge your phone. It'll power a light, a TV or a radio, and maybe a little fan in the event you have a blackout. And also call or text 211 to find official cooling centers. In the meantime, the heat wave certainly does continue. We have an extreme heat warning in effect. Sunny to partly cloudy today near record-breaking highs in the mid-90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta. Sorry to take such a sidestep there, but just important as we start off this broadcast today. Good morning to you.
Good morning. It is very important, especially staying safe, staying cool, and staying out of the direct sun, because that only adds to that hot feel. With temperatures today expected to again reach near triple-digit highs, the reason they don't is because of those afternoon storms, which will start to cool us down, but also add to the steamy feel into this evening. So Matawan and Freehold, your high climbs to 97, mid-90s for you along the coast, and then back over toward Trenton, Fort Dix, and Mount Holly, just about 100, getting up to 98 degrees. The reason, again, why it's not as hot as yesterday, a little front pushes through, starts to break down this high and this area of the heat dome that's been persisting over New Jersey for several days. This whole system begins to shift eastward, and that, as a result, allows some of these storms off to the west to finally work their way through into New Jersey. You need rising air in the atmosphere for these storms to form, hit the higher levels of the atmosphere, and then allow that precipitation to occur. That simply hasn't happened because the air high above our heads in New Jersey has been slowly sinking. That is the opposite of what's needed. And you can basically see where the high is with these storms heading in this direction to our north and some clouds and storms headed in the opposite direction to our south. So that clockwise flow around New Jersey keeps the storms away and has been for the last several days. That changes today. With the UV index once again at a very high, level 10 on the scale. That's really the highest UV we get all year, allowing for those afternoons filled with sun, but also lots of heat. Notice the dew points, or the temperature where they are saturated, a good measure of moisture in the atmosphere. Anytime it's 70 or greater, it feels like Miami. Tropical levels of humidity toward Long Branch, even by LBI, and down toward Atlantic City. But these numbers drop into tomorrow afternoon. Notice how we're in the low 60s. That is much more comfortable by the end of the day tomorrow, and even that shade of yellow appears, showing how the drier air is working on down first in Sussex, Morris, and Passaic counties, and then taking over into central New Jersey by the end of the day on Friday. So much more pleasant feeling weather on the way as soon as tomorrow. Just got to make it through one more afternoon of heat. That's why it'll feel like 101 in Hackensack, 100 in Newark, and 103 in Camden by 3 o'clock this afternoon. We see the heat break with those storms that move on through, and then by the end of the day tomorrow, much cooler, as the high will only feel like 78. That is a big change by about 15 degrees, that heat index, even as warm much as 20 degrees just in a matter of hours. Going into Saturday, it's cooler still due to those extra clouds that are around. So I think Friday and Saturday will actually feel kind of cool in comparison, given how it'll only be in the 70s. And with those clouds hanging around for the first part of the weekend, I think we clear out by Sunday. Monday and Tuesday could see some clouds return, but no big heat returning for at least the next week. So we're lucky in that sense. It's a chance to at least catch a break, and the air conditioners get a chance to get a break as well. 81 as your high on Saturday, 83 sunnier with less chance of a shower by Sunday. Just not as hot with some extra clouds Saturday, but I think Sunday is looking quite nice as well. We'll talk more about what to expect with your headlines and if those storms pose a severe threat coming up later today, Ken. That's in a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much. And Mike, with all that incredible heat that we had yesterday, the blacktop on the roadways really took a beating. I mean, as hot as the air temperature is, Mike has talked about this, how that's the air temperature is measured in the shade. The blacktop on the highways, well, that takes a direct beating of the sun. And remember, the color black absorbs the most amount of heat. So it literally caused some of the blacktop to melt. That just tells you how intense the heat and the sun were yesterday. So this is 287 right now. This is by milepost 52.6, just south of Route 23. You see the bumper to bumper traffic? That's because they had to close the right lane here, and the left and center lanes remain open, but it's causing everybody to kind of wind down and collect into one or two lanes. This is between exits 52 and 57, and there are points when both left lanes are closed. So in Riverdale, it's just south of Route 23, right lane closed. And then when you get to Montville, just past the Brook Valley Road Bridge over 287, the left and center lanes are closed there. And that's going to be going on for probably a couple of days because they now have to fix the buckled roadway. So just beware of that. We also have a crash on the Turnpike Inner Roadway northbound from north of Interchange 13A. That's by Newark Liberty International Airport to south of Interchange 14, which is 1 and 9 in Newark. All lanes are open, but there's a 2-mile delay due to volume. Crash on the Turnpike Inner Roadway northbound south of Interchange 13, which is the Goethals Bridge in Linden, with the left lane blocked, and a crash on 195 westbound east of exit 2 in Hamilton. The left shoulder is closed. Roving repairs on I-295 in both directions from north of exit 64, which is the State Street extension in Hamilton Township, to north of exit 71 in Hopewell. A right lane is closed. They also had some buckling of roadways there. Take a look at the 8095 approach to the GWB. You see the upper level on the right, lower on the left. Upper level slightly better than the lower, but right now we're looking at 40 minutes to cross over. They're saying it looks worse than that, actually. On the GWB, 35 at the Lincoln and 30 at the Holland. 7:23, New Jersey lawmakers are racing to finalize the state budget before the July 1st deadline, with new tax hikes on cigarettes and vaping products taking shape. Senate proposals would raise the cigarette tax to $3 a pack and triple taxes on e-cig fluid and nicotine pouches, aiming to generate some $40 million in revenue. While supporters like Senator Joe Vitale hope the funds support smoking cessation, critics warn higher taxes could drive sales to neighboring states, hurting local retailers. 7:23, now time for politics from Trenton, explained like nobody else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with this morning's Inside Edge.
Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, June 25th. Welcome to the Inside Edge. When we launched the New Jersey Globe about 7.5 years ago, I didn't ever think that I'd have to say this, and I don't say it easily, but it looks like someone is trying to steal an election. It's either deliberate or it's based on a ridiculous level of incompetence. The race, thankfully, is small. It's for a Republican county committee seat in Rockaway Township, Ward 4, District 3. No candidate filed to get on the ballot, so a man named Brian Wittig conducted a write-in campaign. He needed 2 votes to win. He received 5. Nobody else got any votes. But despite what seems obvious, that the guy with the most votes wins an election, that's not what happened. The municipal clerk, Adele Wardley, allegedly didn't get the results right. And Adele didn't certify the election until yesterday, June 24th. And the Morris County clerk, Ann Grassi, wouldn't accept the certification because her deadline was June 23rd. I mean, it's unreal, right? You'd think that this is just mass ineptitude, but we've seen that in Morris County before. And unfortunately, I worry that it's worse than that. This is Rockaway, where there's a miniaturized political boss named John Jacofiano. He's the municipal attorney. He runs the show and bills by the hour to do it. Jacofiano wasn't happy with the primary results. A world class rabble rouser named Tucker Kelly beat his candidate, incumbent Councilwoman Rachel Brooks, by a wide margin. And Brooks is the Republican municipal chair, and Kelly may be in range of unseating her there too. They called a reorg meeting for July 1st, so maybe they just think they can beat the clock. This is a county committee seat, and Wittig really doesn't want to pay to file a lawsuit to challenge this. He could seek a recount, which I guess would show his official total at zero, which is the wrong number, but that would cost him money too. There was a 1997 lawsuit in Camden County, Clemency v. Beach, where a write-in candidate won, but didn't file the acceptance and the oath until after the deadline. The judge found that the statutory requirement was directory rather than mandatory, and he directed the winner to win. This should be easy, but it won't be. And I really hope that I'm wrong about this. I don't think I am. But in this case, I'm going to root against myself. I'll call the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability's hotline. I'll let them know what's going on in Rockaway. Unfortunately, as many of you know, I think the OPIA is sort of worthless and nugatory, but maybe they'll surprise me. That's it for today, everybody, and I'll be back tomorrow.
All right, David, thank you. 727. So far, so good. The ceasefire between Iran and Israel seems to be holding. President Trump is in the Netherlands this morning for a NATO summit. However, yesterday, he launched into a tirade, a blistering attack on both Middle Eastern nations for breaking the agreement early on. Check this out.
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Shortly after the F-bomb, Trump proclaimed the ceasefire is back on, admitting both sides seem to have violated it early on. That's why he was so upset, because they worked so hard to get to that point. He made it clear that he was not happy with Israel and had to get Israel to calm down. Israel was upset that Iran had fired a last-second barrage of missiles when the ceasefire was due to begin, resulting in the deaths of several Israeli citizens. Well, during the Biden administration and its open border policies, over 1,500 Iranians whom we know of, mostly fighting-age males, by the way, all by themselves, walked across our border, and about half of them, over 700, were released into the country, all with the blessing of liberal Democrats. Why would Iranians fly from Tehran to Mexico, then pay people to get them to the U.S. border? We can only guess why. My bet? It's not to live a better life. The fear is they came here to form so-called sleeper cells ready to wreak terror on command. Well, ICE agents have now arrested a former Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps member with suspected ties to Hezbollah. That's the gentleman they claim is that person. He's an ex-Iranian army sniper and a terror watch list suspect during a sweep of Iranian illegal migrants in the U.S. over the weekend. In all, 11 Iranian illegal migrants, many of them with criminal records, were taken into custody. 5 of the 11 swept up by ICE had previous criminal convictions that included grand larceny and drug and firearms possession, even though Biden's people said everyone at the border was vetted before being released into the U.S. I don't think Iran was providing a list of who was arrested in their country as they were sneaking across our border. 729 in South Jersey, a Burlington County jury's convicted 33-year-old Jameer Wynn of Mount Holly for the 2021 aggravated manslaughter of Sean Reynolds. Reynolds' body was found stabbed multiple times behind Millery's Market and Deli in Mount Holly. After a 2-hour deliberation, Wynn was also found guilty of unlawful weapons possession and related charges. A sentencing date has not yet been scheduled. And Governor Murphy and local officials broke ground on the second phase of the Raritan River Bridge project, replacing a 117-year-old swing bridge damaged by Superstorm Sandy. The new $444 million center lift bridge will serve 11,500 daily commuters on the New Jersey coastline.
So we gathered 5 years ago. It's hard to believe, and we kicked off the anchors. This is now going to be the middle suspension part of the bridge, which is going to take it to an entirely different place in terms of reliability and speed. So many of the coastal towns, of which I live in one, are going to be impacted positively by this. We have to remember this is a bridge that was built when President William Howard Taft was in office.
I voted for William Howard. It's a long time ago. Officials say the bridge will reduce delays and ensure safe travel for Middlesex County residents, leaving a century-long legacy. Hopefully, they'll not have to worry about it for another century now. 7:31, it is 77 degrees in rural New Jersey. The phone lines are open, taking your calls at 888-658-0234, and the heat wave certainly continues. We have an extreme heat warning in effect. Sunny to partly cloudy today, near record-breaking highs once again. We're up to the mid-90s today. The full Garden State forecast with meteorologist Mike Favetta in just a moment. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. We're seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, news on Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And we're streamed live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/OnNewJersey. We'll be right back. Very good morning to you. 77 degrees in our rural headquarters at 7:32 on Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. Our heat wave certainly continues. An extreme heat warning in effect. Sunny to partly cloudy today, near record-breaking highs in the mid-90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the detailed Garden State forecast now. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you, Ken. Yes, in addition to the extreme heat warning, there's also air quality alerts for the low level of air quality, the high level of ozone that's present in the atmosphere due to the very stagnant air that's just catching a lot of the pollutants at the ground, and with the sunshine making for some ground level ozone. That's O3. So if you wake up this morning and you feel like it's a little harder to breathe, it's probably that poor air quality, which lasts right through tonight. We'll see that clearing out by tomorrow, and then temperatures take a nosedive into the 70s down the shore for your Thursday. Today, however, we're still stuck in the 90s. 90 as your high in Ocean City, 98 over in Egg Harbor City, and 98 in Glassboro. So plenty of sun to start the day, but likely some showers and storms by the end of the day. Made it to 103. That was yesterday as the high over in Newark. Today's record is 100, which we'll probably meet again, and that is day 4. Day 4 of that record heat of so much hot weather. To have 4 days in a row of 100-degree heat in June is very unusual. Usually we see that kind of heat in July. So a little earlier than usual, and with the water temperatures supporting a beautiful beach day. 73 as your water temperature in Sandy Hook, 66 in Atlantic City. Plenty of clear sky to enjoy. Again, until those storms come in much later on in the day. Sunset happening at 8:32. And if you're wondering if any of these storms could be potentially severe, Climate Prediction Center Norman, Oklahoma is thinking not so much. It's level 1 on the scale of 1 to 5. So we're green, which is just the average run-of-the-mill thunderstorm today. Even tomorrow, less of a chance of severe weather moving forward. So with the front that slides through today into tomorrow, that'll start to cool things down, bring in a chance of a storm, but also put some rain over us and clouds for tomorrow and Friday, making for much cooler weather. Finally get a break from all of the heat, bringing back those clouds again for Saturday. I think we see the clouds clear out by Sunday. So the second half of the weekend looking much better and much drier, at least, allowing for some brighter skies. The heat finally breaks for tomorrow. We jump into the 90s again once more today, up around 100, only to 81 tomorrow and 71 by Friday. So big steps in a cooler direction. Waking up on Saturday morning, it'll actually be a little chilly, 66 degrees. with some clouds around through the day, maybe a spotty sprinkle. Sunday has more sunshine, maybe an afternoon storm. And then we slowly work our way back into the upper 80s throughout Monday and Tuesday with more chances of rain. We could certainly use the rain. The plants look a little parched outside. The lawns, too, getting burned with all this heat and lack of significant rainfall. Even just a little spritz each day would be nice. 75 throughout Friday with the cooler weather at the coasts, starting off our mornings a little bit milder thanks to the water temperatures warming, and then Saturday and Sunday looking drier as the weekend goes along, back into the mid to upper 80s, Ken, as we head into the middle of next week. So finally catch a break from all of this stubborn heat and humidity.
Well, I'll be down in our Southern Command doing the show from Fort Lauderdale next week, so we'll compare. We'll compare the temperature there with the temperature up here and see which is hotter. Once again, I get to tell my friends here, put this one on Facebook and on Instagram. How could you deal? I don't know. In Florida, in the summertime, it's so hot and humid. How do you deal with it? Yeah, because it's actually hotter here. That's why. I'm just saying.
I'll tell you what, I've got the graphic that's coming up that shows all the atmospheric and ocean circulation, explaining why it's hotter in New Jersey than in Florida. So stick around.
We used to have. I'm so glad you're doing that, because our meteorologist, when I was at CBS in Miami, used to do that, because so many people down there are from up here. And I know that he used to say that if you go to Orlando, inland, landlocked, that gets up to 110, 112. But when you're coastal, it's a whole different animal. I'm not going to give away that. I'm giving away the punchline. I'll let you deal with it. Thank you so much, Mike. We'll check back at 15, my friend. Thank you again. I appreciate it. It is 77 degrees right now in rural New Jersey, 80 in Trenton, and it's in the upper 80s now at Newark Airport. 737. Take a look at some of the traffic we have. We have an issue from all that extreme heat on the roadways on 287 right now. Look at this mess. So we have two problems, or two areas of 287 right now between exits 52 and 57. We have 1 to 2 lanes closed, 1 to 2 left lanes closed, depending on where you are. Riverdale, it's 1 lane. And then in Montville, we have the left and center lanes closed. And that's going to go on for a couple of days because they have to repair the roadway from all the buckling from the heat. So just be prepared for that. It's causing about a 15 to 20 minute additional delay through that area. We'll call it the new Wharton. That sounds ominous, doesn't it? We have some problems on the, I'm getting laughed at by Pam. We have some problems on the Turnpike right now. A crash on the Turnpike Western Spur southbound, south of interchange 15W in Kearney with the right shoulder blocked. Crash on the Turnpike inner roadway northbound, south of interchange 13, Goethals Bridge in Linden with the right shoulder blocked there. Crash on the Turnpike inner roadway northbound from north of 13A by Newark Airport. All lanes are open, but there's a 2-mile delay due to volume, and we have repairs going on 295 both directions, and that is in the area of Hopewell Township. 1 right lane is closed. This is the Garden State Parkway right now. It's mile marker 136.8 south of exit 136. It is heavy this morning. A lot of that, I think, is sun in people's eyes, but you have a lot of volume as well as you make your way through there. So the 136 exit area, you're talking about Linden, Roselle, Winfield Park, part of New Jersey. As you make your way into Manhattan, the Lincoln Tunnel right now, very heavy, 35 minutes just due to volume. The Holland is 30 minutes. And if you look at the 80-95 approach to the GWB, the upper level is on the right. The lower level is on the left. The lower level has been bumper to bumper all morning. Look at that. The upper level is not that much better. 45 to 50-minute crossover time into Manhattan on this hot morning. 7:39 is our time. Governor Murphy and the leftist money-wasting Democrats in Trenton, no opinion here, have reached an agreement on tax hikes. Murphy's proposed budget sets a new record. Murphy loves to spend more money than the state already brings in taxes, so now the governor's proposing $1.2 billion in new taxes and fees. Expect tax hikes on cigarettes, up to $3 in New Jersey taxes alone on cigarettes. Look, I'm not a smoker, never have been. I don't propose it. Some people, though, want an occasional cigarette. It's America. $3 just on New Jersey taxes. That doesn't count the federal taxes and the actual cost for the cigarettes. It's crazy. Tax hikes for online gaming, higher taxes for what the Dems like to call luxury homes, which years ago, that was, an expensive mansion. Do you know what they call a luxury home? If the home is worth $1 million or more, it's a luxury home. Well, last I checked, about 40% of the homes in northern New Jersey are selling for like $1 million or more. Homes in West Caldwell that used to go for $600,000 are now listing at $1 million. So that means you got to pay a 1% surcharge on those sales. If it's $1 million, do the math. $10,000 out of your pocket goes to the state. $10,000. That sucks. That's thanks to the Dems in Trenton. New Jersey recently announced an additional $785 million in tax revenue. And rather than taking that to pay down debts or returning the money to you and me, the taxpayer, Trenton Democrats grabbed that money like a bunch of kids that found a can of cash in a back alley to offset some of the governor's tax hikes to make it look better for him. In the ultimate money redistribution scheme, the Democrats will also fully fund New Jersey's anchor property tax relief program. So lower income New Jersey residents who vote Democrat more often than not, the governors are going to take money from upper income and give it to you so you could pay your taxes. So you like the way that works? And then there is a good program that I agree with. The Stay New Jersey program is for homeowners age 65 and older so they don't retire down in Virginia or South Carolina because they can't afford the taxes here. Some of the money is going to go to that, which is good. However, the program comes with $1 billion price tag, and it'll have to be dealt with by the next governor. A budget deal must be signed into law by next week. 7:41, parts of New Jersey encountered power outages Monday and yesterday due to the extreme heat causing so many to crank up the air conditioning. Some in Union County were among the first to lose power. Kenilworth also got hit. PSE&G tried to restore as many customers as possible, though some 15,000 were left in the dark down the shore last evening. Governor Murphy announced that cooling centers were open throughout the state. If you are looking for a cooling center, you could find one online at nj211.org or call 211. One of the reasons why we're having brownouts and blackouts is because the Democrats, with their new programs, all their new laws, we lost 6 power plants due to the Democrats and their green concepts, and we never built green energy plants. So now we have a severe shortage of power in the state at a time when we have AI making demands on power, electric vehicle charging making demands on power, and summertime where you have huge demands because of air conditioning. So Governor Murphy's solution is sweat your ass off. Keep it at 80 degrees. He doesn't care because he's in Drumthwacket in a 70-degree house. So just so you know. 7:42, authorities have charged 18 people and seized over 8 kilos of cocaine in a major drug bust spanning Puerto Rico to South Jersey. The 2-month investigation led by Salem County Prosecutor's Office with FBI and Homeland Security disrupted a cocaine distribution network from Puerto Rico to distributors in Salem City and Mount Holly, targeting markets along the East Coast. The record-breaking seizure for Salem County resulted in the arrests of residents from New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and Connecticut, and they're all now facing various drug charges. We have a legal battle brewing between Queen of Peace Church in North Arlington and the North Arlington Board of Ed. It seems the board is threatening, get this, to use eminent domain to take over part of the church's buildings on their parish property, the LaSalle Center for Pre-K. They want to put pre-K classrooms there for the city because there's apparently nowhere else in all of North Arlington where they could do this. It just happens to be convenient because it's near some of the other schools. They had already previously taken over some of Queen of Peace buildings to put schools in. So I guess they want to keep all the schools in the same area. So they're going to take over a church that's been there 100 years. Nice. The parish and the Board of Ed were speaking about leasing the facility, but they couldn't work out the details. So now the Board of Ed is saying, fine, we're going to now bully you and the Archdiocese of Newark. Queen of Peace uses the LaSalle Center for Worship, Religious Ed, and its ministry to the Latino community, and parish officials say they will fight to keep the building. Under the Fifth Amendment, government officials must prove in court the property they seek is essentially the only place available for the greater benefit of the public. In other words, if you could show there's another place, then they can't use eminent domain, technically. Something the church now says they will fight right to the bitter end. 7:44, they wanted to attend graduation ceremonies Monday. Unfortunately, Mother Nature had other ideas. Temps in the area soared to 100 degrees, causing 150 people attending 2 of 5 scheduled Patterson School District High School graduation ceremonies at Hinchcliffe Stadium to be treated for heat exhaustion. 16 more had to be sent to the hospital. Patterson Mayor Andre Saya had to declare a state of emergency as a result. The people affected were graduation ceremonies for JFK and international high schools. The district says the ceremonies that were postponed due to the extreme heat Monday and Tuesday well, or Monday, I should say. Those will be rescheduled. Looks like they'll probably be tomorrow. Check with the school district. 7:45. Yesterday was primary day for the mayoral candidates in New York City. Voters had to use so-called ranked choice voting. The way it works is voters got to rank up to 5 candidates. If one candidate got more than 50% of the first place votes, that person won. If no candidate reached that majority, however, instead of an expensive runoff election between the top 2 vote getters, the ranked choice method sorts out the best preferred candidates for the most people. Confusing? Yeah. If your top pick has the fewest first choice votes among all voters, that candidate gets eliminated from the race. All of those voters' second choice picks are counted up. The process then continues with one candidate removed each round until one candidate has more than half of the first place votes. Technically, there were 11 Democrats on the ballot in New York yesterday, but heading into the election, only 2 stood out. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who resigned in disgrace a few years ago, and self-proclaimed socialist Zohran Mamdani, who appears to have won. He didn't get 50%, though, so they're going to have to look at the second, third, and fourth votes now. But Cuomo already relinquished and said, it looks like you won. Mamdani, only in his early 30s, very little experience. He's a state assemblyman for a couple of years. He's never been elected prior to that. He's from Uganda. He's a Muslim, and he's never held elective office prior. And this is the guy that apparently wants to run the city of New York, the largest, most important city on the planet. He wants to do things like give free buses. He wants to give free supermarkets. You don't have to pay. This is what socialists do. Everything's free. Somebody's got to pay for it. And wait till the people, the idiots that voted for this guy, wait till they find out they're going to be paying like $200,000 a year in taxes in order to have everything free. There is a chance, though, that Republican Guardian Angel founder and former mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa could sneak in, because at this point, I think a lot of New Yorkers may vote for other like second party candidates, and we'll see what happens. 7:47. Can we move on yet? Some petulant Democrats, led by the likes of Al Green, that's the congressman with the walking stick who famously interrupted President Trump during his address to the nation in January, had his moment to impeach President Trump, and he got his ass handed to him, in great part from members of his own party. That's right, 128 Democrats voted to shut him up and stop the proceeding in its tracks. How did it work out the last time you impeached Trump? Not once, but twice. So Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries said, shut up and sit down. Only 79 hardcore leftists voted to move forward with the impeachment. Every Republican voted against it. The final vote, 344 to 79. Now, can we finally get AOC and her radical troops to shut the hell up? Not that I have an opinion there either. 77 degrees, 7:48. The heat wave certainly continues. We have an extreme heat warning in effect. Sunny to partly cloudy, near record-breaking highs, mid-90s. Mike returns with the Garden State forecast. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. 7:48. It is 77 degrees in rural New Jersey. Taking your calls at 888-658-0234. The heat wave certainly continues. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. It is day 4 of our 100-degree heat wave. You're not looking at the camera. I held up 5 fingers. It's need a day where maybe need some more iced coffee, just some way to get the day rolling. Because the heat just causes so much fatigue, even when you're in the AC, because you can't get outside and enjoy the sunny weather, enjoy the clear sky, because it's just so darn hot. So what I meant to say, it's day 5 of the heat wave, day 4 of 100-degree plus heat expected in Newark. That has not happened during the month of June. It's happened in July, but still, to have this heat come in that early, quite unusual since we're just getting summer started. Afternoon storms expected later today, not going to be severe, but it's the 25-degree cooler weather that's on the way for tomorrow that will feel very, very nice. 98 degrees is your high in Newark this afternoon, 98 in Jersey City. Cooler into the north and west, and there is the chance of some storms later on this afternoon, arriving probably after 3 and 4 o'clock. That'll also help to clear out some of the poor air quality, which still is around today. Look at the forecast air quality from Long Branch, even down toward Toms River and LBI. When it's in the 100s to 150s, that's bad. It's pretty darn unhealthy down in Cape May, 172. So again, anytime that number is higher than 100, it's unhealthy for sensitive groups. Anytime it's above 150, like in Cape May, it is rather unhealthy for all groups. So that's the forecast air quality today. In the unhealthy range, you'll see the electronic signboards around across New Jersey throughout this afternoon. Oh, there it is. Okay, so here is the storm threat for today, with most of the storms expected to stay to our north and west, but northern New Jersey tapping into that area that'll see these strong storms possible. So it's an elevated risk, and it's all due to that high pressure that's been blocking these storms, now shifting to the south and allowing these showers and storms to move their way south. Okay, so why is it hotter in Florida than in New Jersey? Oh, I did it again. Why is it hotter in New Jersey than in Florida? Notice all of the clear sky that's sending these storms to our north and allowing for that heat dome to exist over New Jersey is sending that air literally straight from the Mexican desert across Texas, across the Midwest, and here to New Jersey. It's like a freight train of hot air coming in. What's happening down in places like in Florida is you have a counterclockwise motion of air that comes in off of a rather cool Atlantic, allowing for that weather to turn a little bit cooler and the coastal areas of Florida to stay cooler with the wind off of the water. So really, it's all the way the wind blows and the atmospheric circulation. We have our hot weather coming in direct from the southwest. Florida has a cooler ocean breeze coming in off of the coast. If you see these little lines here, that represents the winds, showing that that'll be the case over the next few days, with more hot air coming in throughout this afternoon and then cooler weather coming in off the coast for places like Florida until that heat finally breaks. And if you're wondering, what's the water temperature in Florida? It's actually in the mid 80s right now, so not terrible. 82, even just east of the coast there in the Gulf Stream, and in the Gulf of Mexico, 84 right there on the Gulf Coast. So not as hot as you would see. That heat typically arrives toward places August, September timeframe, typically the warmest part of the year. Now, it will be hotter in Florida as we head into the next few days and the next few weeks with that orange shade down there. We have average heat coming in across New Jersey with slightly higher precipitation chances going into the next 2 weeks. So warmer weather ahead, but at least it's not as hot going into tomorrow and Friday. The cool down begins throughout Friday afternoon, 71 as a high. That'll feel very pleasant. And then a chance of some storms with some clouds on Saturday, drier by Sunday. Monday and Tuesday sees a little bit of a warming trend. The short points, cloudy for the start of the weekend, sunny by Sunday, and looking great, Ken, into next week with temperatures that'll feel much more pleasant by Monday and Tuesday.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. We're counting on you. Want to cool down a little bit. 7:53. We appreciate you, Mike. It's 77 degrees right now. Let's take a look at this is I-287. We have some problems from all the incredible heat that we've had. It caused roadway buckling. So now between exits 52 and 57 of I-287 from Riverdale to Montville, they have to do road work repairs. They have to fix up all the blacktop buckling. So they have between 1 and 2 lanes closed. Between Riverdale and Montville. Beware of that. It's causing about a 15 to 20-minute delay, as you could see there, as everybody goes down to 2 or 1 lanes, depending on where you are. We have a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur southbound, south of interchange 15W in Kearney with the right shoulder blocked, then a crash on the Turnpike Inner Roadway northbound from 13A to routes 1 and 9, which is interchange 14 in Newark. All lanes open, but a 2-mile delay. We have a lot of traffic right now on the Garden State Parkway. This is mile marker 147.0 at exit 145 entering the parkway. You could see the bumper-to-bumper vehicles there. That's in the East Orange area. And we have roving repairs on I-295, both directions from north of exit 64, which is East State Street Extension in Hamilton Township, to Federal City Road in Hopewell, with 1 right lane closed. The approaches to the Hudson River right now, really ugly. This is the GWB upper and lower level, upper on the right, lower on the left. We're talking 45 minutes to cross over into Manhattan right now, 35 at the Lincoln and 30 at the Holland. 7:54 is our time. A late-night shooting on 6th Avenue in Newark left one man dead and 4 others injured. 18-year-old Brandon Waters of Patterson was fatally shot in the chest, while 4 men ages 19 to 26 were hospitalized with gunshot wounds. The incident near the Newark-East Orange border may involve inter-city disputes, according to Mayor Ross Baraka. Police are now looking for information in identifying the shooter as the investigation continues. A Texas grand jury has indicted 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony in connection with the stabbing death of 17-year-old high school runner Austin Metcalf. So Austin is the kid in the middle, and the gentleman who is, I use that term loosely, Anthony, Carmelo Anthony is the person on the right. Police say the two got into a dispute of some sort over a seat on April 2nd with no warning. They say that Anthony allegedly pulled out a knife and stabbed the teen in the middle there in the chest and killed him. Carmelo Anthony's side quickly tried to make the incident racial, quickly raised over $500,000 through an online fundraising page, ostensibly for his legal defense. That's what they said it was for. What he would later spend that $550,000 on was a $900,000 house, which rents for $3,500 a month. They spent the money on an expensive SUV they paid for in cash and security detail. So he walks around with a posse. Still, he managed to convince a judge to lower his bond from $1 million so he could be free at this time, citing financial hardship, yet he had $550,000 to spend. Anthony told cops he was simply acting in self-defense. Oil prices tumbled for a second day yesterday as the market bet that a ceasefire between Israel and Iran would hold and the risk of a major crude supply disruption had faded. U.S. crude oil settled down 6% at just over $64 a barrel. That is low. Earlier, President Trump said China can keep buying oil from Iran in what seemed like a good faith effort that the U.S. may soften its maximum pressure campaign against the Islamic Republic. In other words, we're all getting along now, so let's lower some of the rules. Trump also confirmed the Strait of Hormuz would remain open due to the ceasefire. That calmed a lot of jitters, and that allows 20% of the world's oil supply to continue flowing. On top of this, the stock market is surging. The Dow was up over 500 points into record territory yesterday, closing just above the 43,000 mark. Parts of New Jersey encountered power outages Monday and yesterday due to the extreme heat causing so many to crank up their AC. Some in Union County were among the first to lose power. Kenilworth also got hit. PSE&G tried to restore as many customers as possible, though down the shore, 15,000 customers were in the dark last evening. Governor Murphy announced that cooling centers were open throughout the state, and if you're looking for one, go online to nj211.org or call 211 and ask. The FBI has opened an investigation into the vice mayor of a Los Angeles County city after she posted a video urging Latino street gangs to fight back against federal immigration agents. That's the woman you see on your screen. That's Vice Mayor Cynthia Gonzalez. She's from the community of Cudahy, California. She found herself in federal investigators' crosshairs after she posted that video, which has since been taken down, on social media, calling for members of the 18th Street and Florencia 13 gangs to, quote, protect their turf. Puff your chest to ICE agents. In her now deleted video, Gonzalez taunted the predominantly Mexican and Mexican-American gangs, saying they couldn't lay claim to territory in her town unless they stood up to ICE agents, calling them the biggest gang there is. This is an elected official and an American citizen. What the hell is wrong with her? Gonzalez later posted that the FBI came to her house and she needs a lawyer. Now she's scared. Duh, lock her up. Sorry. You're supposed to be an elected official. Kids in schools in Southern California have written letters to her saying she needs to, at the very least, resign, and she should. 7:58, New Jersey Attorney General Matt Platkin and 20 Democratic attorneys general are suing the Trump administration over sweeping cuts to federal grants. The lawsuit filed in Massachusetts claims the administration misused a 5-word regulation to justify slashing billions in aid to states, impacting programs like New Jersey's hate crime prevention and habitat restoration. The AGs argue the cuts violate federal law and seek a court order to stop them, protecting critical funding for public health, safety, and education. And the New Jersey Hall of Fame has announced its 2025 class, honoring 17 individuals from music, sports, public service, and more for their lasting contributions to the Garden State. Inductees this time around include CNN's Dana Bash, the Jonas Brothers, yay, nice people they are, Chef David Burke, also a very nice guy, a personal friend of mine, Olympic gold medalist Sidney McLaughlin-Levrone, and the late Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, very nice lady. Selected from 60 nominees honorees through a public vote. They join over 240 honorees since 2008. The induction ceremony set for November 21st at American Dream in East Rutherford, celebrating New Jersey's talent and resilience. 7:59, and it is hot. When we come back, Governor Murphy and state lawmakers race against the clock to finalize a record-breaking $58 billion budget. New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will join us live to talk about it. We are coming right back. And a very good morning to you. It's 8 a.m., Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. Welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. The heat wave continues. We have an extreme heat warning and affect air quality problems, too. It'll be sunny to partly cloudy, near record-breaking highs in the mid-90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta can explain it all for us with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
You're going to melt like a piece of mozzarella on a day like today. Another hot day. I'm excited because you talked about David Burke and his restaurants, one of my favorite chefs.
Nice man.
Really, really great food. I got a reservation at Bar Mutz up in Westwood this weekend. Very excited. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. Hot until then. But cooler weather, Ken. Cooler weather is on the way. So yes, with some more heat today, we'll have highs that'll exceed expectations, back up, feeling like 105 degrees. That's why the extreme heat warning is up for all of the counties shaded in purple. The orange color is the heat advisory, meaning it only feels like 104 throughout this afternoon. So very warm weather ahead. And with some storms later today to help cool us down, it'll start to feel a little bit better. Not by much. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's already 90 degrees. That's not a feels like temperature. That's your actual air temperature in Newark. Same temperature it was at this time yesterday. So we'll likely hit that 100-degree mark yet again. The dew point, or the temperature where the air is saturated, this is the amount of moisture in the air, and it is downright tropical with that humidity so high and those dew points in the 70s. For that reason, there's also an air quality watch for the counties shaded in yellow, because that is the stagnant air that hasn't moved very much at all, allowing for that heat index to rise so quickly. Feels like 95 at 8 o'clock in the morning in Newark. Feels like 93 in Camden. Oh, that's just gross. Feels like 99 degrees currently on LBI. And the reason for that is that very humid air coming in off of the ocean, mixing with the hot morning sun on the sandy soils there. Yeah, it makes sense that would be so hot. So with the heat index forecast to reach 103 in Camden, 102 in Trenton, 100 again in Newark, it's going to stay warm throughout this afternoon. Then we have the storms come in after about 3-4 o'clock, and by 8 o'clock, you'll see those numbers drop significantly as a result of those afternoon storms and stay there in the 70s and low 80s into tomorrow. So a much cooler feel on the way. We'll actually be feeling like it's in the 60s and low 70s come early Friday morning into Saturday morning. So cooler weather prevails thanks to that front providing the storms to cool us down. That's what shows up in the future cast with these clouds that begin to develop. Haven't seen those in a while. Clouds, a new feature in the last few days for our New Jersey weather. Also some storms after 3 and 4 o'clock. Not expected to be severe. Just the garden variety, general afternoon pop-up thunderstorm. Most of them happening across southern New Jersey, some in northern New Jersey later on tonight. But even expect into tomorrow morning, look at the difference in temperatures, low and mid 70s, and maybe with a break of afternoon sun tomorrow, maybe we cross into the low 80s, but that'll be nice versus crossing into the 100s for the 4th and 5th day in a row in northern New Jersey. The rain lasts throughout tomorrow afternoon, showers into Friday, and clouds that will really keep it cooler, upper 60s and low 70s. So a nice change that'll bring back plenty of clear sky even into the second half of the weekend. I think there's clouds to start off our Saturday with some scattered showers, but by Sunday looks much drier with very pleasant weather ahead after those clouds to start the day on a Sunday morning. The next few days featuring the cool down, low 80s on Thursday, low 70s on Friday, just 30 degrees cooler. It takes a lot to wrap your head around that, and still it's in the 70s. And then by Saturday, we see those clouds linger with some showers, but we've got more sun on the way for Sunday. great second half of the weekend to be by the pool or by the beach. We'll tell you all about that with a detailed check of your weekend forecast, Ken. That's coming up in a few minutes.
I think you have a sea breeze in your future, and I'm not talking about the ocean wind. All right, Mike, thank you very much. Much appreciated. 8:05 right now. We have 79 degrees in rural New Jersey. It's 80 in Trenton and 88 at Newark Airport right now. We had all that heat that Mike's been talking about on the roadways. Well, it caused buckling on I-287 yesterday afternoon. Take a look at what the police had to contend with and the drivers who got stuck in that mess right there. So as a result, we have to have the roadway repaired. You can't drive over that. So right now, we'll switch over to a live cam. You have a lot of traffic. This is between exits 52 and 57. 1 to 2 left lanes, depending on where you are blocked in Riverdale and all the way to Montville. So between the milepost 49.3 and 52.6, that is exits 52, 57, that area. You have a lot of traffic right now, as you can see, as folks go single file to try to get around where they're going to be doing some of that repair work. We have a crash on the Turnpike Western Spur southbound south of interchange 15W in Kearney with the right shoulder blocked, and roving repairs on 295 both directions from East State Street Extension in Hamilton Township to Federal City Road in Hopewell. The right lane is closed. Take a look at the 8095 approach to the GWB right now. It's 45 to 50 minutes. The upper level on the right, lower level on the left. And this is really a mess this morning. A lot of it is just volume and also the bright sun in their eyes. If we could take that 8095 cam. Do we have it? GWB? That's the problem. All right, Pam's telling me, no, we don't have it, Ken, or else I would have punched it up. There it is. That's what happens. All right, so the lower levels on the left, upper on the right, and that's the mess we have right now. So good luck. I don't mean to chuckle. It's just I've been there many times. That looks worse than 45 minutes actually right now. We have 35 of the Lincoln and 30 at the Holland. It is 8:06. A high-stakes budget process is now underway as Governor Phil Murphy and lawmakers race against the clock to finalize a record-breaking $58.1 billion budget before the July 1st deadline to avoid a government shutdown. The proposal includes $1.2 billion in new taxes and fees, alongside $4.3 billion in property tax relief, but not without controversy over lots of new taxes on cigarettes, luxury homes, and online gaming. Some proposed taxes, like those on recreational activities, did not make the cut. Joining us to break it all down is David Wildstein, editor of the New Jersey Globe. Good morning to you, David. Nice to have you in the flesh, so to say. Nice to have you on live this morning.
Thanks, Ken. And I think it's so appropriate that Mike ended his segment as you're leading into a budget talking about people being able to go out on the beach, because we know how beaches and governorships and budget negotiations are all intertwined.
I think back to a certain Chris Christie being on the beach when the beaches were closed during the pandemic. I don't know. That's the flashback I'm having, and I can't unthink it now. Let's start with the big picture, David. The governor's proposed $58.1 billion budget is the largest in New Jersey's history, $1.2 billion in new taxes and fees. Walk us through the key steps in the budget process right now and how close lawmakers are to finalizing the deal before the June 30th deadline. It's next week.
Yeah, I think they're pretty close. You know, the original belief, if you had asked me a couple of days ago, it would have been that the budget committee was going to come in today, and then they would go vote on this on Friday and be done. The bottom line is they can't actually prepare this budget once they have agreements. We don't know exactly what the agreements are, other than the governor was insistent on keeping a $6 billion surplus. The speaker was insistent on keeping stay NJ for senior citizen property tax relief. So, you know, they always come in, the governor's number is just a starting point. And then they add what the legislature wants, those Christmas tree items that'll get added. We won't see these maybe till after the budget is passed. What I heard just before I came on the air is maybe they'll come in on Friday to do the committee, give everybody the weekend to review it, come back on Monday morning. And, one of these reasons it's don't have everybody walking away saying this is great. They're going to give the public ultimate transparency time. Several legislators have weekend plans that involve airplane travel. Good luck, right? The whole state budget depends on whether Newark Airport might be open or not. But I think you're probably looking at a Monday vote. That could change 50 times before I finish my sentence.
Yeah, and we'll drag you back on the air by then to talk more about it, of course. David, look, the budget includes significant tax increases. Look, the expenses are what they are. And by the way, I'm going to pause for a second. One of the reasons is because the cost of Medicaid in New Jersey is billions. People don't realize what a chunk of the budget that takes. And if I will, and I know you stay away from political leanings left and right, I sure as hell don't. That's why I'm a blowhard. But one of the things people don't talk about is we have hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants in this state who are entitled to receive Medicaid. That is a problem because that costs us billions of dollars, something that I notice nobody in Trenton is talking about because we're a sanctuary state. You don't have to go into it, but I just wanted to put that out there. And in the meantime, the budget includes significant tax increases. We have $3 a pack state tax on cigarettes, 20% tax on online gaming, and the so-called mansion tax for homes over $1 million, which 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that was very few. Today, you go to West Caldwell, very pedestrian town, every house is over $1 million. So it looks like everyone's going to be paying $10,000 on their house sale. So what is driving the specific tax hikes and how are they being received by the lawmakers and the general public?
As budgets go, and I've been through a lot of these, this has been a tame, docile budget season. There's not a lot of histrionics going on. There's really nobody talking about a budget shutdown, a government shutdown. And by the way, the legislators have several years ago gotten rid of the things that would cause the public to be angry if the government shut down. Government shut down, casinos are still open. Government shut down, parks and beaches are still open. There's not a lot that would really hurt people over a short-term period if the government were to shut down. But it's an election year. Nobody really wants to see that happen. This one has probably been one of the easiest in Governor Murphy's last year. His last is the easiest, I think.
Considering the fact that he was a CEO of Wall Street firm, you think that this would have never happened in terms of budget gaps. But alas, New Jersey facing a budget deficit, of course, estimates ranging from 1.2 to 3.7 billion. So how does the current budget proposal address the gap? How are we supposed to close it? Because unlike the federal government, they could just push it down the line. You can't do that in the state.
No, but I'm told by the people smarter than me in the room that they've got this within a tolerance where they will be able to keep the structural spending gap under some control. This is not a draconian budget until federal funds that they have anticipated as revenue stop coming in, and then all of a sudden it's going to be the sky's falling in.
And listen, I know David Wildstein. You are the smartest person in the room, so you could feign decorum. No, but come on, stop it.
Yeah.
I know you are the smartest guy in the room. My declaration. Some of the proposed taxes, like those on recreational activities, bowling, laser tag, that didn't make it into the final deal. Was that just those fun taxes, just because they didn't want to piss off the everyday folks in New Jersey?
They could be, and not that Christopher would have ever done anything like this, but sometimes you throw things into the budget so that you'll look good taking them out after there's a little bit of a public outcry. But guys like me that have old enough to remember thousands of protesters at the State House, 1991, throwing toilet paper at the State House because Governor Florio wanted to tax toilet paper. Those are the things that you lose elections on. Bowling alleys, batting cages. Those are the things that piss people off in certain areas. But there's nothing here that's really going to swing an election one way or the other. And if there was, you'd see Chitterelli and Sherrill playing a little bit more aggressively as lobbyists on their sides.
All right. New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein. I could talk to you for hours about this. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on this morning,
Thank
my
you. And
friend.
I'll,
We'll
and I'll
come
just say
back. We'll
quickly, if it's
find out what
okay,
happens. Yeah.
you have ruined Andrew Cuomo for me. I can no longer hear Cuomo's voice without hearing Ken Rosato doing Cuomo's voice. So you have
Oh,
changed it completely.
ventilators. The ventilators. My husband showed me the picture, one of the pictures that I have having dinner with Cuomo some years ago, and he sent me that this morning after Cuomo said that he basically said, "Well, you got it," to Mamdani. So we'll see. That's another topic. We'll have you on to talk about that at some point. David, thank you, my friend. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, bud. It is now 79 degrees at 8:15. The heat wave certainly continues, an extreme heat warning in effect. It'll be sunny to partly cloudy today, near record-breaking highs in the mid-90s. Mike will come back, our meteorologist, with the full Garden State forecast. 888-658-0234 is our number. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:16, taking your calls, 888-658-0234. The heat wave continues. We'll have an extreme heat warning in effect right now. It'll be sunny to partly cloudy near record-breaking highs, mid-90s, air quality alert as well. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a sweltering Garden State forecast. It continues. Rinse, wash, repeat, Mike.
Right. And I think we finally get to see the end of this oppressive heat by later on this evening. So if you're waiting for the cooler weather that just doesn't seem to want to come, and we do this hot cycle all over again, today finally ends that. And with temperatures climbing into the upper 90s again, even toward the beaches, mid 90s for you, 96, 96 over in Princeton, 98 in Trenton. It's the afternoon storms that will start to cool us down probably as soon as 3-4 o'clock. So we get all of this record heat again today due to that stubborn high pressure that's been stuck driving in this hot air, allowing for the kind of like a super highway of heat coming across the country right here for New Jersey, and allowing for that stagnant air, all due to the position of that high pressure. It also keeps these storms off to our west, and has been for several days. That begins to change today. And the reason for that is that system that's been blocking all the storms now breaks down and allows these storms to enter the picture for the next several days. So all these clouds and showers you see over the Midwest, that's our weather beginning tomorrow. It'll also bring down the UV, which has been stuck at the very high level at a 10, which is the highest it gets all year since we're within a few days of the summer solstice, which happened on Friday. Notice the clear sky around today. That'll be a very cloudy picture this time tomorrow. And with the dew points, or the temperature where they are saturated, already starting to come down, we'll see this number drop over the course of the day. Even that shade of yellow coming in, showing the drier air throughout today and tomorrow. Again, it's later on today. It's after the heat of the day. So we have one more afternoon of the sweltering heat, and then we finally see it much cooler for Friday and Saturday, and not as humid even going into next week. So this afternoon by 3 p.m., the heat index of 100 degrees once more in Newark, 102 in Trenton, 103 in Camden. We do another round of the heat and humidity, but by 8 o'clock, notice how we drop off significantly with the storm passing by the green in Morristown. 85 is your heat index by 8 o'clock, so it'll start to drop into the 70s, feeling much more comfortable tomorrow afternoon, and even Friday and Saturday, much more pleasant and better going into the upcoming weekend. I think Saturday into Sunday, we'll see clouds go to some clear sky, then some clouds return by Monday. It's not a beautiful sunny weekend. There will be times of more clouds than sun, but at least it's not in the hundreds. So counting our lucky stars there going into the end of this weekend, second official weekend in summer. Looking a little cloudier, but not as hot. 83 as the high for Saturday, 84 on Sunday with more sun, less of a chance of rain. So drier as the weekend progresses. I don't think Saturday is a wash, but certainly a few chances of wet weather. Sunday, however, is the drier half. We'll tell you more about next week's weather on the 7-day forecast, Ken, coming up in a few minutes.
All right, we're looking forward to the drier half. Thank you very much, sir. 79 degrees now in rural New Jersey. It's 82 in Trenton and in the upper 80s right now at Newark Airport. 8:19 is our time. We have some issues with all the heat on the roadways. 287 was impacted by having some buckling of the blacktop. So this is what 287 is looking like right now between Riverdale and Montville. We have 1 to 2 lanes closed. You can see here 2 lanes are closed. And this is exits 52 to 57. This is so they could repair and patch up all the blacktop that buckled with all the intense heat yesterday. So just beware of that. If you're taking 287 from Montville to Riverdale or in either direction there, just beware and give yourselves extra travel time. We have a crash on the GWB upper level eastbound New Jersey side at Toll Plaza in Fort Lee. Right lane is blocked. In fact, I'm throwing a curveball at you, Pam. If we could bring up the GWB approach, that is part of the reason we have such an absolute mess right now. Take a look at what the 8095 approach is looking like to the GWB. It is bumper to bumper. We have about a 50-minute crossover time again. We have a right lane blocked, and that's causing a real mess as you get to the toll plaza. The upper level is on the right, and that's where you have the problem. Lower level moving a little bit better on the left. And we also have some problems with ongoing repairs on I-295 in both directions from north of exit 64, which is East State Street Extension in Hamilton Township, to north of 71, Hopewell Township, with 1 of the 3 lanes closed. Lincoln Tunnel now is a 35-minute crossover time. We just showed you the GWB. That's about a 45-minute crossover. And the Holland Tunnel is now looking at about a 30-minute crossover time to get you into Manhattan. It is 8:21. Some of America's largest cities, including New York, are now increasing security. The concern is that Iran could launch a cyber attack, or worse, that there could be sleeper cells here ready to launch a cyber attack or terror attack on us. When the Biden administration left the borders wide open, at least 1,500 Iranian nationals were stopped. About half were, though, allowed into the U.S., and they could be just about anywhere in our country. In fact, ICE agents have arrested 15 Iranian nationals since last weekend's bombing. Joining us now on the phone is News Nation national investigative correspondent Rich McHugh. Rich, good morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Rich, how seriously is the U.S. taking the possibility at this point of Iranian terror cells being here? Can you hear me, Rich?
Oh, I lost you for a second. I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Can you restate your question?
Saying,
I'm sorry.
Sure, not a problem, Rich. I was saying, how seriously do you feel the U.S. is taking the possibility of having Iranian terror cells on our soil right now?
Very seriously. I've been reporting on this since last week, and sleeper cells have been a thing. We've been talking about in this country for 20-something years. We've always talked about this, but last week we reported that a source close to the White House, who I can't disclose further who it is, confirmed that the White House is looking at and actively monitoring these sleeper cells. And President Trump, even aboard Air Force One yesterday, all but confirmed that. He said, "Look, they're here." He laid the blame on the Biden administration, obviously, but so they're here, and we're hoping to do everything we can to mitigate it and to prevent it from happening. And you've seen a lot of coordination between state, local, federal. Everybody is, kind of diverting their attention now to this. You saw the FBI yesterday came out that was reporting that the FBI is kind of reassigning and kind of realigning all their forces to focus on this short term. I asked the FBI for a statement confirming that, and they said, "Look, we're not going to confirm operational activities with anybody, but it is our practice to realign, kind of reassign our forces essentially as we see fit. So the statement to me was them essentially confirming like what they're doing, which is kind of redeploying some of their forces towards this and away from things like immigration efforts that they've been focused on for the past like 6 months. So I think it's top of mind.
And Rich, I know since 9/11, a lot of people have let their guard down. After 9/11, everybody was in the see something, say something mode, and a lot of Americans have gotten very complacent since then. What do you think that the average American, the average citizen, should be doing to stay safe at this point?
Well, from the experts we're talking to, it's just stay vigilant. Just keep your eyes peeled. If something doesn't seem right, say something. In the best case scenario, nothing happens. There's also a scenario that nothing happens because of this, whatever you want to call it, has been brokered, this truce, I guess. And, some experts say, look, Iran doesn't want, they have to tread a very fine line here, tread carefully, because if there were sleeper cells that were activated, and did something horrible, the Trump administration would retaliate swiftly, and they don't think Iran wants that right now. So it's a curious state, you'd say. So some are saying we're not going to see this. We're not going to see anything happening. But I will say this: the big concern among intelligence people from top New York, police department folks, through federal, is a lone wolf attack, and by that I mean inspired by the Iranian regime or propaganda, someone who's just kind of like taking their marching orders, acting on their own. And I know that the NYPD is very concerned about that.
I mean, I'm thinking in terms of individuals who made their way all the way from Iran or another Middle Eastern country who is in sympathies, if you will, with the regime, who is here right now in a sleeper cell capacity, and who may not agree with Iran getting along suddenly with Israel. And I use that term loosely. They're not really getting along, but at least, as you mentioned, there's a truce. Maybe some people are reticent to accept that and would launch an attack preemptively or as you say, as a lone wolf. So, I guess at this point, we should just always be suspect, especially in public settings, in crowds, things like that. I certainly personally would avoid crowds right now, just in case, especially in a big urban center like New York. And I think a lot of people too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but these people, we don't know what they're capable of doing as a sleeper cell. They could carry out little attacks, right? Like a rogue car, or something as serious as, heaven forbid, a 9/11 level thing. We just don't know at this point.
That's true. I mean, keep in mind, I believe ICE just apprehended or arrested 11 Iranian nationals who were here, come here legally. And they've also said that, I think Attorney General Pam Bondi said that over 1,000 had come here. They confirmed that they have, like, they came across the border illegally, that we're aware of. So they're here, and that's the big concern. It's just like what's going to happen. But again, like there's a belief that it's going to come from a lone wolf, and that's the scariest thing. Keep in mind, last fall, federal prosecutors charged an Iranian national with essentially plotting to kill President Trump during the presidential campaign. And that person told investigators that ultimately it was the Iran Revolutionary Guard who put him up to it. So, whether that's true or not, we don't know, but that's what he told investigators last fall. So this is not something new. They've plotted cyber attacks. They've plotted, personnel attacks. I think just this month, some Iranian group took credit for breaking into Trump's Truth Social platform. So it's active, it's real. There's a lot of, I was looking through all the different examples of cyber attacks stretching back like 15 years, and there's a lot. Every year it happens several times. So it's real.
Well, yes, it is real. So everybody keep their eyes peeled and just use better judgment, especially in crowds, especially in the very near future, and don't let your guard down. News Nation national investigative correspondent Rich McHugh, my favorite news channel. I've been watching News Nation for a while. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Great having you on.
Hey, you bet. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Have a great one. We appreciate it. News Nation is just a great channel. And if you haven't checked it out, take the time to check it out because it really offers an alternative to extremes on the left or the right. If you're right down the middle, that's News Nation. You want to check it out. 8:30. When we come back, Republican New Jersey State Senator Declan O'Scanlan joins us to talk about Governor Murphy's proposed budget and tax hikes that Democrat lawmakers have agreed to enact. Also, the phone lines are open, 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We're coming right back. And a very good morning to you. It is 8:30. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Welcome back. It is 80 degrees in rural New Jersey, 82 in Trenton, upper 80s at Newark Airport. My name's Ken Rosato, and the person we're going to bring on right now is my favorite handsome meteorologist, Mike Favetta, who is just done with the heat. He's done. I've had it. The record-breaking highs in the mid. I don't know who I'm talking like. It's just, I'm just putting it out there. So are we looking at another day of heat?
We are. And I'm done with the memes and like all the, like, you run out of jokes at this point. You run out of things to say. How many times was I forwarded the meme of the Weather Service issuing lasagna instructions of how to bake a lasagna in your mailbox? Like, okay. This is the level. This is the level we've hit, Ken. We're just done with the heat. Yeah. It's that sort of kind of, you're just stuck inside in the AC.
Yeah.
If you're blessed enough to have working AC, because I have 3 friends that are like, what do? I need to go to a library or something to stay cool because the AC just broke down. So yeah, when the AC is just working 24/7, can't catch a break. I think we'll finally get some cooler weather on the way. And that's what everyone is hoping for. With today being the last hot day of this heat wave, we have day 4 forecast. That's today, of 100 plus degree heat, especially in Newark. The storms that come in this afternoon will start to cool things down a little bit and then really cool it down into tomorrow with 25-degree cooler weather on the way and then 35-degree cooler weather by the time we get to Friday. So the skies are clear. Any clouds you see are well offshore that are right there out to sea. So it's going to be another one of those hot afternoons with the air quality watch in effect. You may be driving on the highways and see the electronic signboard say air quality alert. I mentioned this yesterday, but it's enough to bring it up again because it could confuse you. Air quality alerts are issued by the state DEP, whereas the Weather Service computers only recognize watches and warnings. So the Weather Service, for the purposes of broadcast, put it in the form of an air quality watch, but it all means the same thing. Poor air quality today due to the very stagnant air and the high heat and humidity, making for some ground level ozone. Our forecast today points to a slightly cooler breeze at the ocean, but only still feels like the 90s. I mean, that's just super hot, especially for a beach in June in New Jersey. Back inland areas west of the Parkway and further up Route 70 and the Black Horse and White Horse Pike there in Glassboro, 98 degrees for you, 99 in Camden. With the hottest day of June ever recorded, tied for another hot day of 103 over at Newark. Today's record is 100 back in 1943. Pretty sure that will fall again as those storms are not expected to occur until well after our evening rush. Oh, I think we have a little storm popping up here. There we go. They're starting to work their way through and crossing through central Pennsylvania. So they'll be on the way, arriving here in New Jersey much later on today. Water temperatures have warmed very nicely to 72 in Cape May, 74 in Sandy Hook. Just a few days ago, that water temperature was in the low 60s. So a big jump in temperatures, and it stays hot on the beaches today with sunset at 8:32. So there's not much of a severe threat to these storms. They're just run-of-the-mill garden variety thunderstorms. That's that shade of green showing a marginal risk of severe weather, and even tomorrow less of a chance, as most of those severe storms should stay back off to our north and west. We just tap into the wet weather So some good news there. Not expected to see the extreme wind from these cells. And why is it cooler in Florida than in New Jersey? Mentioned this before. We have all of the heat dome that's setting up. That's this big circle here that's encompassing most of the Northeast with this super highway of hot air coming in across the Midwest and really direct from the desert Southwest. Whereas Florida has this lovely subtropical low that's just sitting and spinning and pushing in all that cool sea breeze off of the Atlantic into the coast and making it feel much more pleasant for folks down in the Sunshine State. So plenty of hot weather to enjoy here. But head to Florida to cool off. That's what you do in June now in New Jersey. We have the cooler weather coming in by this time tomorrow. You'll certainly feel it with the clouds as well into Friday, and then some spotty showers in there for good measure. So it'll be cooler. It'll be cloudier. Won't be as sunny going into Saturday, but Sunday looks much brighter because the front finally pushes on by and brings back the clear sky into Sunday. 7-day forecast has cooler weather arriving in the form of 80s tomorrow, 70s on Friday. We're back in the 80s for Saturday, but the sunshine returns in breaks. Lots more sun on Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday into next week, upper 80s likely, but not expected to get back into the 90s, at least anytime soon. 7-day forecast for the shore also has those clouds around to start the weekend, but Sunday is sunnier and drier, and I think we extend that pleasant weather going into early next week. So we've made it through. We're about 90% of the way there, Ken, and then you can enjoy the cooler weather. And if I hear one complaint about how cloudy and cool it is, I'm going to lose my mind for Friday.
I don't give a damn. I'm going to Florida. I'm going to Florida on Friday. I'll do the show from Florida next week, and it'll be the same background, so no one knows the difference. Well, now I've told everybody, but so there you go. I'm gonna set out the camera on the balcony again. Let everybody look
love
at
the balcony cam. That is one of my favorites. We'll call it the Gulfstream cam.
Nice. Gulfstream cam. I love it. The Gulfstream cam for the Atlantic Ocean. All right, Mike, thank you so much, sir. We'll check back. It's 80 degrees already in rural New Jersey. It's 82 degrees in Trenton right now, and we have 88 at Newark Airport. Taking a look at I-287, we have some problems on the roadway now for a 5-mile stretch between Riverdale and Montville. 1 to 2 lanes are closed. You can see everybody going single file right there. This is as of last night or yesterday afternoon because we had some roadway buckling due to the extreme heat. This is going to be a couple of days before this gets any better. So again, between Montville and Riverdale on I-287, just beware that you're going to have some extra traffic because of roadwork repair. It's an emergency. They have no choice. We have a crash right now on routes 1 and 9, the truck route northbound Hackensack Avenue and Kearney. 2 of the 3 lanes are now closed. We'll take a look at another camera right now. This is also on the New Jersey Turnpike. This is mile marker 121.08 southbound. It's called the I-95 Express cam, and this is not so much of an express. This is heading into Newark. Bumper-to-bumper traffic you can see on both the truck lanes and the car lanes. Absolute mess as you make your way in toward Newark. We have a crash with injuries I-80 westbound right now at exit 55, which is Route 62. In Totowa, 3 of the 4 lanes are closed. That's causing an absolute nightmare. Take a look at the GWB approach, 8095 approach, upper and lower levels right now, extremely heavy. It's been this way much of the morning. The upper level on the right, lower on the left. We're talking 45-minute crossover time, 35 at the Lincoln and 30 at the Holland. 8:37 is our time. Governor Murphy and lawmakers in Trenton have reached an agreement on tax hikes. Murphy's proposed budget sets a new record. The governor typically spends more than the state takes in on taxes, and this year's no different. So now the governor is proposing $1.2 billion in new taxes and fees. To talk about the out-of-control spending plan is New Jersey State Senator Declan O'Scanlan, Senate Republican Budget Officer. Senator O'Scanlan, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure, Ken. Thank you. I'm starting a little prickly about you because you introduced Mike as your favorite handsome meteorologist, but apparently I'm not that of your senator. So, okay, well, I'm gonna let that go. But
You know
good
what?
to
All
see you
right.
this morning.
You got it. Well, listen, officially, you are my favorite, most handsome senator. There you go. So he's my
There you
favorite,
go.
most handsome
Thank you.
meteorologist. There you go. I don't know how, listen, I make no secret of my politics. I don't know how you show up at work in Trenton without a bottle of Tums. I don't know how you deal with your colleagues there. Governor Murphy's proposed $58.1 billion budget, the largest in New Jersey's history. One thing I noticed the good governor and your friends across the aisle have not mentioned one word about in crafting this. We have 500,000 illegal migrants in this wonderful sanctuary state of ours. They all get Medicaid. The state spends billions on that. If we didn't spend billions on Medicaid for people who are not here legally, we would probably have a perfectly balanced budget with no additional taxes. Am I wrong?
Well, no, it's a little more complicated than that, but certainly it's a component. And where you see the governor and the legislative Democrat leaders today are going to push through, and over the next few days, pretty massive increases in the cost to legal residents' health care. There won't be any such increases in the healthcare to illegal immigrants, whether you're sympathetic to illegal immigrants or not. That's unfair and targets law-abiding people, including folks with incomes sometimes lower than that which some of the illegal folks are making. So there's a definite unfairness there. But overall, this budget sets us up over the next few years to just be an excruciating pain. And it didn't have to be that way. This administration and legislative leadership, Democrat legislative leadership, could have fixed our budget problems over these past 8 years. We had the breathing room of over $22 billion in federal money. We had unnecessarily borrowed $4 billion. We could be in a position now where we're handing the next administration a truly balanced budget. That is not happening. We are out of balance by over $3 billion. Democrats will try to say it's a billion because they're spending down the surplus of about that.
Right.
But we're using the leftover COVID money. We're paying down our debt defeasance money to zero. If you add all of these things up, and then you have Stay New Jersey, which you supposedly are going to have to fund. It's well over $3 billion. And again, it didn't have to be this way. We could be handing the next administration a balanced budget. We are not. And it's going to be painful. Democrats are talking about this is a tough budget year, as if next year is going to be better or the year after that. They are ensuring that that will not be the case.
One of the taxes we're talking about is the so-called mansion tax. If you have $1 million transaction, you get a 1% tax. And people hear that and they go, oh, that's for millionaires and billionaires. Hey, I used to live in North Caldwell, right next door in West Caldwell, which used to be a very pedestrian place, nice town. You could buy a house for $500,000-$600,000. No, houses there are all over $1 million now in West Caldwell. So all those people are going to be paying the mansion tax, and these are people who are upper middle class at best financially, and they forget if it's $1 million transaction, that's $10,000. What on earth? There isn't a place in the country that charges money like that outside maybe California and New York.
That's exactly right. And look, and these taxes increase costs across the board. If $1 million house becomes, a million plus 10,000, or even a 2 million, you have senior citizens who bought houses 20, 30 years ago. And with this housing market, suddenly they're pushing 2 million. Now, you might say, I don't have a lot of sympathy for these people, but it's the retirement nest egg, and it's a pretty big chunk of change to be taken out of it. You have those taxes. You have other fee and toll increases that are just on automatic pilot that the governor doesn't like to take ownership, but they are his. It's his appointees to transit. It's his appointees to the authorities that have approved these fee, tax, and toll increases that just happen every year. It's another $500 million. Taxes in this administration have gone up by over $22 billion a year in tax, fee, and toll increases. And it carries on every single year. We have bracket creep that many other states have done away with. The federal government has done away with it. Just by virtue of your salary going up to keep up with inflation, your income tax hit goes up. And it's really incredible that the situation that New Jersey now finds itself with a $3 billion budget hole and already taxed to the max. it's going to be a real challenge. Whoever the next governor is, it's going to be a brutal, brutal challenge on the governor, and then trickle down to the people of the state of New Jersey with massive cuts to programs and potentially massive tax increases if this next governor doesn't have real discipline.
Yeah, I chuckle as you say that. We can only pray it's Jack Ciattarelli and keep our fingers crossed
right there with
because, but I keep saying, as long as we have as many Democrats in the Assembly and the Senate, because so many New Jersey people do not show up for those Assembly and Senate elections. I mean, thankfully, the good people in your district voted you in, but so many say, we vote for president. We vote for governor. You got to vote for your state assembly, your legislators, your state assembly and Senate is essential because you get these lefties in there. Look at New York State is even worse than New Jersey. You have radicals. Look at the guy running for mayor in New York now. This guy's a socialist.
Yep.
A frickin' socialist is going to run our biggest city in this country potentially. It is mind boggling. And people let it happen because it's so right. They're all the same. If I hear another person say that, I'm sorry. Your name is O'Scanlan. My name is Rosato. My Rosato is coming out on TV right now, Senator. I apologize.
Hey, look, the Fighting Irish are known for a reason as well. So I'm right there with you, Ken.
Amen.
People need to pay attention to elections. They matter. And those down ballot, the legislature unquestionably matters. So this year we'll have a chance to pick up seats in the assembly while we're voting for Jack Ciattarelli. They need to do it. They absolutely need to do it.
Absolutely. I would love to have you on again and again. Please don't be a stranger. Come back whenever and let us know the shenanigans, to borrow some of the terms of your people, the shenanigans going on in Trenton. We want to hear more from you. New Jersey State Senator Declan O'Scanlan, God bless you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Kevin. Ken, take it easy. Talk to you soon.
You got it. Take care. It is now 8:45. We have 81 degrees in rural New Jersey. It's 83 in Trenton and 88 at Newark Airport. When we come back, we'll be joined by a hot new performer in the world of country rock, and he's from New Jersey. Also, the heat wave continues. We have an extreme heat warning in effect. Sunny to partly cloudy near record-breaking highs, mid-90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast, and we'll take your calls. 888-658-0234. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. We're coming right back. Eight 846, welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking your calls at 888-658-0234. We could squeeze in one more call if we can. 888-658-0234. The heat wave continues. We have an extreme heat warning in effect, also air quality alert. It'll be sunny to partly cloudy near record-breaking highs, mid-90s. Once again, very oppressive. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. After so many days of hot weather, Ken, I know I've been searching for a while. It's like my flashlight went out or something. But well, that's it. The power went out. Power companies can't keep up with the demand due to so much hot weather. Everybody has the AC cranked with the temperatures as this warm. 98 degrees in Jersey City, 98 in Newark. But back off to the western sections of the state, we'll start to see those thunderstorms arrive this afternoon. They develop after 3, helping to drop the temperature. Might not get to Newark until after we break another record today, the record of 100 degrees set back in the 1940s. So plenty of time to see that extreme heat again. Already air quality above that 50 mark. I think once we get above 100, it turns bad. But look down toward Cape May, 172. That is unusually unhealthy due to the air quality being so poor. Thanks to all the sunshine, the air pollutants, and the stagnant air. Air just simply not moving. It's been stuck in place and allowing for that high pressure to push all of those pollutants closer to the ground. With the AQI of 150, again, statewide, that's the unhealthy level for sensitive groups. You'll feel it if you try and exert yourself today. But again, the good news is we have average heat coming in for the next 2 weeks, at least through July 9th, with the hot stuff limited to portions of the southeast, and there in the northwest, our weather even looks to be slightly wetter than average, throughout the next week or so, at least through July 5th, with a little bit of a higher chance to see some rainfall here in New Jersey, which we could use after all of this heat. I mean, all of the above average rainfall we had for the first half of this year now finally coming to an end with some drier weather ahead into after this weekend. Notice by Thursday and Friday, tomorrow and Friday sees a big drop in temperatures into the low 70s. So the cold front really doing its job, cooling us down by 30 or 35 degrees. And then coming to Saturday and Sunday, we start the weekend with a few clouds, see the sun return for Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday, maybe some chances of rain there, but at least we'll be in the 80s, which is average. Clouds and showers for you as well down the shore throughout Friday, but Saturday, see some breaks in the clouds with some sun, drier, sunnier on Sunday, definitely the better half of the weekend, and Monday and Tuesday, looking clear, low 80s, we'll take it. Looking ahead to some cooler weather, Ken. So at least this time tomorrow when we join you, it'll be cloudy, it'll be cooler, the AC won't be cranking, it'll feel much more pleasant.
I love it. And I'm just hearing the voices in my head right now. It never got this hot in New Jersey, ever. All my years in Jersey, no, it never got above 69 degrees in July. Never. I'm just saying.
What part
Everyone
of New Jersey
always
is that
thinks
accent?
nowhere. Edison. I'm making it up. Nowhere. That is the worst part of a Staten Island accent I just gave you. That is
Oh,
but
okay.
Staten
So
Island considers itself New Jersey, so even though it's
yeah,
not.
well,
They're good people though. They got good
nobody
Italian
wants to claim
restaurants there.
Staten Island. New Yorkers like now, Jersey's like now.
500,000 wandering people who have no idea where the hell they belong. It's like we're New York, we're New Jersey, but the Statue of Liberty is theirs. That's it. That's all that matters. All right. Thank you very much, Mike. Stay cool. Have fun with the family, and we'll check you again tomorrow morning bright and early when it's a little cooler. Thank you, buddy. 8:50 is our time right now. Let's take a look at the some traffic we have. This is an issue we have on I-287 in both directions between Riverdale and Montville. 1 to 2 lanes of the 3 lanes are closed because of all the extreme heat we've had in the last few days. That caused the roadway to buckle. As a result, they have to have emergency repairs of the roadway. I mean, we heard so much about this in over in Wharton on I-80. Now it's on 287. Different reason. This is not because of a sinkhole. This is because of buckled roadway from the heat. It is what it is. Thankfully, the crews are out there trying to fix this. It should take a few days, but just beware. If you're going between Montville and Riverdale on I-287, you're going to have some problems in terms of traffic. Give yourselves extra travel time. We have a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound north of the southern mixing bowl in Newark with the left shoulder blocked. And while we're on the topic of the New Jersey Turnpike, let's take a look at mile marker 121.08 southbound by 95 Express. This takes you into Newark. Take a look at what you got right there. Both the truck lanes and the car and truck mixed lanes, bumper to bumper, making your way into Newark. A lot of folks getting out of Dodge. They head toward the city to, it's also morning drive, but they head toward the city to get to the airport, and you have a lot of that, especially with the sun in your eyes early in the morning. We have a crash with injuries on 202 southbound south of Town Center Road in Bridgewater Township with the right lane of 2 lanes closed. We have a crash on 1 and 9 truck route northbound at Hackensack Avenue in Kearney, 2 right lanes of the 3 lanes closed. And we have a crash with injuries on I-80 westbound at exit 55, which is Route 62 Union Boulevard in Totowa. 3 of the 4 lanes closed there. That is an absolute nightmare. Roving repairs also due to buckled roadway on I-295, both directions from north of exit 64, East State Street extension in Hamilton Township to north of exit 71, Federal City Road in Hopewell Township. 1 right lane of 3 lanes closed. Take a look at the 8095 approach right now to the GWB. It's actually lightening up just a little bit. Oh, yeah, I see that. Thank you. Pamela just pointed out to me. We got a truck on the lower level there, all the way on the left side. See that in the upper left by the greenery? There's a truck broken down in that lane. So do not be one of those people who tries to use the breakdown lane to speed past everybody else because you're way too important, because you will crash in, heaven forbid. You will crash into that individual. So give yourselves extra travel time making your way into Manhattan. It's about 40-minute crossover there, 30 minutes at the Lincoln and 25 at the Holland. 8:53 right now, and a late night shooting on 6th Avenue in Newark left one man dead, 4 others injured. 18-year-old Brandon Waters of Patterson was fatally shot in the chest, while 4 men ages 19 to 26 were hospitalized with gunshot wounds. The incident near the Newark East Orange border may involve intercity disputes, that according to Newark Mayor Ross Baraka. Police are seeking information and identifying the shooter as the investigation continues. 8:53, a Texas grand jury has indicted 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony in connection with the stabbing death of 17-year-old high school runner Austin Metcalf. Police say the two got into a dispute over a seat on April 2nd. A seat! And with no warning, they allege that Anthony, the man you see on the right side of your screen, allegedly pulled out a knife and stabbed the teen in the middle in the chest, killing him on the spot. Carmelo Anthony's side quickly tried to make the incident a racial one, quickly raising over $500,000 through an online fundraising page, ostensibly for legal defense. But what would later happen is Carmelo Anthony's people would spend that money on $3,500 a month rent in a luxury home, which in that part of Texas, $3,500 would be like $7,000 or $8,000 a month rent where we are in New Jersey. Also, they got an expensive SUV and they hired a posse of security detail. Still, he convinced the judge he was broke, and the judge lowered his bond from $1 million to let him out while he's awaiting trial, citing financial hardship. Anthony told cops he was simply acting in self-defense. 8:55, 82 degrees right now, and oil prices tumbled for a second day yesterday as the market bet that a ceasefire between Israel and Iran would hold and the risk of a major crude supply disruption had faded. U.S. crude oil settled down 6% at over $64 a barrel, just over. Earlier, President Trump said China can keep buying oil from Iran in what seemed like a good faith effort that the U.S. may soften its maximum pressure campaign against the Islamic Republic. Trump also confirmed the Strait of Hormuz would remain open due to the ceasefire, allowing 20% of the world's oil supply to continue flowing. On top of this, the stock market has surged. The Dow up over 500 points into record territory yesterday, closing just above the 43,000 mark. This morning, the president is in Holland. Couldn't think of the term. Holland, that's the name of the country. What's the term they use for Holland? Pam, help me. The Netherlands. Holland is only a section of the country. The Netherlands is the entirety of the country. He's there for a NATO summit this morning, likely touting his successes that he had with the bombing over the weekend in Iran. So he is speaking right now live at The Hague. 8:56, parts of New Jersey encountered power outages Monday and yesterday due to all the extreme heat causing so many to crank up the AC. Some in Union County were among the first to lose power. Kenilworth also got hit. PSE&G tried to restore as many customers as possible, though as of last night, there were about 15,000 customers down the shore left in the dark. Governor Murphy announced that cooling centers were open throughout the state, and if you're looking for a cooling center, you could find one at nj211.org or call 211. Of course, we wouldn't be in brownout situation or blackout situation right now in New Jersey had the Democrats not forced the closure of 6 perfectly good fossil fuel electric generating plants so that we could have green energy, which you're paying a 20% hike last year, 20% hike this year because of the Dems and their wonderful idea of green energy. 8:57, the FBI has opened an investigation into the vice mayor of one Los Angeles County city after she posted a video urging Latino street gangs to fight back against federal immigration agents. Her name is Cynthia Gonzalez. She's a vice mayor of a small town named Cudahy, that's just outside of the city of Los Angeles. She found herself in federal investigators' crosshairs after she posted a video on social media calling for members of the 18th Street and Florencia 13 gangs to, quote, protect their turf. In her now deleted video, Gonzalez taunted the predominantly Mexican and Mexican-American gangs, saying they could not lay claim to territory in her town unless they stood up to ICE agents. In other words, grow a pair of balls. That's what she told them, and fight the ICE agents. She called them, the ICE agents, the biggest gang there is. Nice. A U.S. citizen and a vice mayor of a community outside of L.A. Gonzalez later posted, "Hey, the FBI came knocking at my door. I may be in trouble and I need a lawyer." Why don't you just pack your stuff and leave now? not too bright. And New Jersey Attorney General Matt Platkin and 20 Democratic attorneys general are suing the Trump administration over sweeping cuts to federal grants. The lawsuit filed in Massachusetts claims the administration misused a 5-word regulation to justify slashing billions in aid to states, impacting programs like New Jersey's hate crime prevention and habitat restoration. The AGs argue the cuts violate federal law and seek a court order to stop them, protecting critical funding for public safety, health, and education. It is now 82 degrees at 8:58. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says the heat wave certainly continues. We have an extreme heat warning in effect, sunny to partly cloudy near record-breaking highs in the mid-90s. And that's on New Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato, and we will return tomorrow morning at 7. See you then.